The blind auditions on The Voice often become defining moments for rising stars, and Ava Natz's performance of Gracie Abrams, I Love You, I'm Sorry, was no exception. Before she even began to sing, the atmosphere in the studio was electric. Viewers and coaches alike sensed that something special was about to unfold. The stage was dimly lit with soft hues of blue and purple, setting a delicate, almost vulnerable mood that matched the melancholic tone of Abrams' song. Choosing this track was both bold and risky. Gracie Abrams is known for her hushed, raw, and emotional vocal delivery, which can be difficult to replicate or reinterpret without losing authenticity. Yet, Ava stepped onto the stage with confidence, holding her microphone with a steadiness that betrayed no nervousness. As the first verse floated into the room, the audience was captivated by the clarity of her tone, which carried a warmth and depth that felt both intimate and expansive. The power of Ava's presence lay not in volume or theatrics, but in the sincerity of her storytelling. Every lyric felt lived in, every phrase carried emotional weight. It became clear from the very start that this was not just another audition, it was the type of performance that sparks competition among the coaches, pushing them to fight for a contestant whose artistry could define the season. What made Ava Natz's audition truly mesmerizing was the way she balanced vocal technique with raw emotion. Her phrasing was delicate but deliberate, never rushing through lines but allowing the weight of the words to linger. She used controlled breaths and subtle dynamics to pull the audience closer, embodying the quiet intensity that Gracie Abrams herself channels. At certain moments, her falsetto soared lightly above the melody, fragile yet unwavering, like glass catching sunlight. Then, with graceful precision, she would descend into a lower register, grounding the song with a richness that felt mature beyond her years. The emotional arc of the performance followed the song's narrative of regret, longing, and apology, but Ava added her own personal inflections, small cracks in her voice, near whispers at climactic moments, that suggested she was not just covering a song, but confessing a truth. This kind of vulnerability is rare on such a competitive stage, where many singers lean heavily on power notes and vocal gymnastics. Ava chose instead to tell a story, and in doing so, she made the audience lean in rather than be blown back. It was a masterclass in restraint, and it positioned her not as a contestant trying to impress but as an artist revealing herself. By the time she reached the chorus, the studio was silent except for her voice, and the energy among the coaches shifted. They were no longer evaluating her talent, but already imagining her on their team. The moment Ava hit the emotional peak of the second chorus, multiple chairs turned almost simultaneously, sparking one of the most heated coach battles of the season so far. First came the instinctive slam of a button from Coach A, whose admiration was written all over their face. Not long after, Coach B and Coach C followed suit, each leaning forward in their chairs, captivated by Ava's unique artistry. By the time she concluded her audition, all four coaches had turned, and the competition was fierce. Coach A praised her vocal authenticity, calling her a true storyteller, and emphasizing how she managed to make a contemporary indie pop ballad feel timeless. Coach B argued that Ava's control and artistry would make her a front-runner in the competition, pledging to guide her toward original music that could highlight her songwriting potential. Coach C went the personal route, sharing how Gracie Abrams' music had impacted them and promising to help Ava carve her own emotional lane within today's music industry. Meanwhile, Coach D, the final turn, acknowledged her quiet strength, noting how hard it is to command a room with subtlety rather than volume, and declaring that she had the rare ability to make silence feel musical. The back and forth was passionate, with each coach pulling every persuasive trick in the book. This wasn't just a polite pitch, it was a genuine fight, filled with playful banter, heartfelt appeals, and a few competitive jabs, all centered around Ava's undeniable potentia beyond the coach's battle. The audience's response was equally telling of Ava Natz's impact. From the opening lines, viewers were drawn in, many visibly emotional, nodding along or even wiping away tears. Social media lit up almost instantly, with fans praising not only Ava's vocal ability but her courage to interpret such an intimate and lyrically dense song on a massive platform. In a show where powerhouse belters often dominate headlines, Ava's success proved that subtlety and vulnerability can resonate just as deeply, if not more so, than sheer vocal volume. Her performance highlighted a broader cultural shift in music, where audiences increasingly gravitate toward authenticity, storytelling, and emotional resonance over flashy technical displays. In this way, Ava's audition didn't just mark her arrival on the Voice stage, it became a symbolic moment for the evolution of the competition itself. She reminded everyone, from the coaches to the home viewers, that music at its core is about connection, and that sometimes the softest voice can speak the loudest truths. This deeper significance elevated her audition from a great performance to a season-defining event, one that will likely be remembered long after the competition ends. L.